You're watching SBA Today. With all the latest news, stories, and advice, here are your hosts, Paul Long and Tonya Mazurek.
And welcome to SBA Today, sponsored by SBA Collective for the week of April 4th. I am Paul.
And I am Tonya, and we are going to get into the awesome new 90% guarantee program. But first,
yes. So Bob Coleman over at the Coleman Report did some reporting on BayFirst. And I thought it was extremely interesting and wanted to share with some of his analysis, as well as a hot off the press response from Tom Zernick, the CEO of BayFirst. So first and foremost, definitely thanks for Bob for doing your analysis on this. So here are some facts from the BayFirst. I guess we'll call it an autopsy. Is that a fair?
Oh, like that, yeah.
Okay. So out of the 287 loans purchased by the SBA, SBA actually paid BayFirst $39.3 million. The SBA guarantee original portion was 35.7. Now, if you're doing quick math in your head, remember, yes, there's 75, sometimes 85% guarantees on some of the smaller loans. And then you have maybe litigation fees or any other fees that are on there that the SBA can pay for. So yes, they paid more than the original guarantee, but that is normal. So that's pretty much 110% on there between interest and expenses. So the biggest thing is that obviously this was driven by their Bolt platform. And as a lender who has heard of this program years ago, as they started this, they were doing a lot of volume, I think is a nice way to say that.
A lot.
I remember brokers, because again, I'm up in Washington State. So a lot of the, brokers who just be like, hey, BayFirst has this quick thing. Do you guys have that? And I'm like, no. They definitely did a lot of volume. But this is kind of proof you have to really keep a good eye on that credit box, because that is important as well. So,
and we spoke on that too. We spoke on that as well.
Yep.
Paul. And so, no different than Bob, we put some stuff out there as well. But hey, should we jump into what came up this morning?
We can, but first I want to go over the industries real quick.
Oh yeah,
that was on this, because that to me as a data nerd, that's what I wanted to know.
Got it.
Is, was there certain industries that really were the issues? And the number one was long distance general freight trucking. And I'm going to speak for most portfolio managers out there. If you have trucking in your portfolio, I'm going to guess it's probably not doing amazing. I'm just throwing
trucking is hard right now, man.
Trucking is brutal, and my heart goes out. And as I go and I see $7 diesel, I immediately think of you truckers on there. So, they did 17 loans, 3.3 million there on long haul, another 13 loans, 1.5 in local. And then we had residential remodelers. This one I thought was interesting. Plumbing, heating, and air conditioning contractors.
That actually is really interesting to me, because I thought HVAC and all of that
was
did
hot.
Pretty well.
Correct. I don't know. So that's an interesting one.
Surprised.
Electronic shopping. So like e-commerce businesses, I would assume that's that. Advertising agencies. Office of Real Estate Agents and Brokers. That's interesting to me, because I don't know if I would personally give a line of credit to a realtor. I don't. That's just me. I don't know.
And none of these have anything to do with PPP, correct? Or do they?
No, I do not believe so.
Okay.
And then new single family housing, full service restaurants and limited service restaurants. So some of those to me were shocking, and some of them were like, I guess I kind of see that.
Right.
But those are the industries that y'all should probably be watching out in your own portfolio as well.
Well, and we'll get into more when it comes to the freight and haulers and trucking later in the show, right? When we're talking about the
Yes,
other piece. So stay tuned on that. Anyway,
correct.
this morning, I'm sure you guys all saw though the hot piece of news that came out from Bob Coleman and was allowed to be shared is the SBA Hot Topic Tuesday, BayFirst current on SBA 7A obligations, says CEO. By Bob Coleman, founder and publisher. SBA Hot Topic. Oh, okay, I don't need to go through that again. But anyway, the following is a letter I received from BayFirst President and CEO Tom Zernick. With his approval, I am publishing his response to our previous reporting, clarifying BayFirst is current with its SBA obligation and no payments are outstanding to the agency. Now, this is to Bob Coleman. Good morning, Bob. I'm writing to address several aspects of your recent piece on BayFirst SBA 7A guarantee purchases, as the analysis creates misleading implications about BayFirst practices and intent. BayFirst has consistently met its financial obligations to the SBA. Over many years of participation in the program, we have valued our partnership with the SBA and maintained a strong record of timely payment of all receivables due to the agency.
As you noted, guaranteed purchases may include accrued interest up to 120 days, as well as certain pre-approved recovery and litigation expenses. As a result, total payments exceeding the guarantee's principal are a standard outcome of the program and do not indicate overpayment, abnormality. I can never say that word, by the way, or any intensive tied to loan performance. That said, from time to time, the SBA may determine those amounts are due back. That can happen, which is a part of the normal course of the program. In those incidents, we are invoiced and promptly remit any amount owed, consistently with the ongoing reconciliation process. At the time of our exit from SBA originations in December 2025, BayFirst confirmed at the SBA that all accounts were current. We remain committed to timely settlement of any receivables. And so that was respectfully submitted by Tom Zernick. So I think, I remember obviously reading that article quite a bit, and I don't necessarily remember if them being current or not. I mean, I'm looking at this from a credit risk standpoint. Right. I think this entire thing, and I think the biggest takeaway is not like pointing fingers on who don't want. And I am absolutely sure that they weren't trying to be harmful to the program or anything like that. I do think credit risk plays a point in, is it a score and go, which I believe it was a score and go program, and hence why the SBA is like, hey, we should probably take that out. Like, I mean, you always see with government or anything, you kind of always lick your wounds and do an autopsy at the end. And you make changes based on those.
Well, and as we've talked about before, Paul, oftentimes, yes, okay, there may be eligibility rules in there of things that you can do, but should you?
100%.
Should you?
That is the key.
Exactly. And so any of us, and just so we can put out there, any of us can get it wrong. Any of us can. 100%. So anything can happen, let's just say.
Correct.
And everybody is trying to get money to the small businesses. I think that's the big point in all this.
Correct.
We're all trying to get money to the small businesses. Sometimes there's mistakes made, whether it's SBA, whether it's a bank, whether it's a banker, that happens. But to their, I like this letter. I mean, good for him for, for coming back and saying what really was going on in their minds from behind the scenes. So there you go. Anyway. Yeah. All right, guys. So, and by the way, I'm sick. Just so y'all know, that's this whole thing. I tried to get Paul to join me this morning, so I wasn't the only one in my hat, but what ifs.
And I'm tired, but here we go. We do a show anyways for you.
I mean, you show up. I mean,
that's right.
Anyway, SBA announces new Made in America loan program to restore manufacturing dominance. This push is through the ITL program, International Trade Loans, guys. And if you didn't know, it's my favorite. I like it. Anyway, the core goal is to rebuild U.S. manufacturing and reshore supply chains. It's a game changer. It is. It's going to be a game changer, I think. 90% SBA guarantee versus the standard 75% in the 7A program, which reduces lender risk. That's a huge thing. If you didn't know, I'm sure you did. Anyway, it's expected to unlock more manufacturing lending. It's especially impactful for equipment, heavy equipment plus expansion deals. Sorry. It's expanded the eligibility. So effective May 1st, manufacturers in the NAICS codes 31 through 33 and the newly added entire food supply chain, which we'll talk about in a minute, agriculture, production, and logistics. So it expanded the eligibility under the ITL program for that 90% guarantee to those additional NAICS codes and businesses. What the capital can actually do, equipment upgrades, facility modernization, reshore supply chains, and reduce foreign dominance. That's good. Build it, bring it back to the US, right? Build inventory resilience, scale through expansion or acquisitions. Now, why does this matter? That's the question, right? Small businesses equate to 98% of US manufacturers. I didn't know that. Did you know that, Paul? 98% small business?
That's interesting. And again, I'm trying to remember the definition of a small business is still a decent size, but I'm actually not horribly surprised. I mean,
True. That's true because it could be either the employees or the full size. So, yeah, I guess so. All right. Anyway, it's a direct response to real demand for growth, capital, and hiring. The opportunities for us guys as lenders, higher guarantee is more approvals, more confidence, more deal flow. Yeah. If you are a borrower, make sure whom you work with has the different programs you are looking for. Do your homework in advance, right? Okay, this is built into the bigger economic push that's all going on right now. Tax incentives, 100% expensing, 20% deduction, no tax on overtime. SBA fee waivers plus manufacturing initiatives, onshoring portal, the 1 million plus suppliers that are here in the US, no need to look elsewhere outside the US, is what they're saying. The theme that we are hearing is industrial comeback led by small business. You should do that with your voice. Industrial comeback led by
I don't have my other mic with me today.
I don't even think I'm on my mic, but it is what it is. All right. Now, the reality check. Capital is easier. Yes, true. But execution risks still exist with the borrower. Success depends on lender adoption and operator readiness. So both, right? Are the banks going to adopt this program? And are the operators ready to accept the funds and move forward with them? Still want prudent underwriting, but this is going to open it up for those small businesses that have what it takes, just may have some areas of risk that make a bank credit department say no. So 90% guarantee could push it to a yes. To the lenders out there, a 90% guarantee at this point, if we're not doing these deals, it's not risk, it's resistance. And we've got to call that what it is. Everybody says that they want to support small business. Sounds cool, helpful, and service-oriented, doesn't it? This is where we prove it. Not in panels, not in LinkedIn posts, in approvals. Anyway, and to our borrowers, if you've been waiting for the right moment to grow, that's you. If you've been waiting for the right moment to grow, this could be it. Just meet us halfway, clean numbers, clear story, and we can do a lot together. And I wanted to put that out there for the borrowers just to make sure that they know they've got a part to play in this. Most lenders want to say yes, so tighten your belt, your books, your bedtime story before you walk in the door. If your foundation is ready, we can build on it. Yeah, I added a little flair in there.
Clearly, Tonya is passionate about this program, and I'm passionate about it too. However, not as passionate as Tonya is. Yeah. So my question to you, Tonya, because again, I'm going to look at this from a credit risk standpoint, and you're thinking 90% guarantee, you only in 10%. Yeah. However, what do I need to do differently as a lender? Don't I need a specialized business plan? Do I need special projections? Do
Yes.
I need the special star in the moon to be aligned in the right degree? Tell me what I need as a lender in order to really be excited about this.
Well, typically in the ITL program, as you know, then you're going to have that export business plan and all that. Good question as far as how this is going to be. That can't be there because this isn't an export per se, even though it's international trade loans. Do you know what I mean? But it's still not export because it's in here. So that's something that's going to come out. I haven't seen it yet. I don't know if you have, but my assumption is, if they're over the load or if they're local here in town, they're not transporting elsewhere. There is no export per se. This is just adding to the program, not the export piece of it. It's just adding to the program for the 90% guarantee is how I'm seeing it. I could be wrong. Happen to be wrong.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm a little more excited. I am a little bit of a skeptic.
Yeah.
Well,
think about it, Paul, right? Think about it. I get so excited about this, right? So especially trucking. Trucking, farming, all the fun stuff that we're fixing to come up with. It's risky. It's risky. Yeah. And sometimes it's a really good deal, but getting it through our credit departments, right? Because they've got a bad taste in their mouth because of something that happened prior or they're just concerned of what's coming up with the economy. And there's so many things that could go into play specifically with our trucking and that industry that oftentimes they're not willing to take a chance on and put it out there for something that quite honestly could be extremely valid and good.
Sure.
I think what this does is just give a little bit more security behind what they do. Doesn't mean that we need to not to go away from our prudent lending. Absolutely. Don't give money to somebody that from the get-go doesn't have, whether operational support in place or whatever it is that they're looking to do. Because defaults happen with a 90% guarantee, just like they do with a 75%.
100%. 100%. 100%.
So
I always pretend like it's my money. I have an old boss at an old institution that said, would you lend your personal money to this person anytime there was an approval? And I had to say yes or no. And based on that, there you go. Are you in or are you out? So,
right.
Well,
yeah,
speaking of 90% deals, SBA announced its expanded grocery guarantee through the ITL, International Trade Program, to promote affordability. And just like manufacturing, Tonya mentioned, it provides 90% guarantee across the food chain, designed to expand food production, processing, and distribution to help reduce grocery costs.
Mm-hmm. This is one of those behind the scenes financing moves, Paul. It actually is going to impact our grocery bill, and grocery bills don't get fixed at the checkout, guys, until you fix them in the supply chain.
That is very true. It is really about getting the capital out there and into the system on there.
Yep. Key difference and why it matters for lenders: 90% guarantee versus the typical 75% under standard SBA 7A loans. Reduces lender risk and increases likelihood of approvals. Anytime you reduce risk, guys, it's going to increase the approvals, right? Encourages more capital into agriculture, food production, and logistics. We need it. We need it. So this is very exciting. I don't know.
Now, banks don't hate farmers. They hate risk. And the most important thing is banks and credit unions don't like things they don't understand. So farming and agriculture and all of that, that's a specialized underwriting. That is just unique and different. And if you don't have that expertise, they're going to say no, just because either they don't have the expertise or they're afraid of it, or they just don't have that
because think about it. Oftentimes, if they get it at all, it's going USDA.
Correct. Agreed.
So it just adds for us. Anyway.
That's true. So who qualifies for what that financing support? So starting May 1st across the full food ecosystem, including ag producers, processors, grocery, wholesale, retailers, trucking, trucking,
Okay.
warehousing, including refrigerated and equipment suppliers. Financing supports production expansion, equipment, processing, storage, transportation, and distribution.
From farm to fork, dude. From farm to fork to financing. That is what this is about. This totally touches everything. Everything in between.
Everything. Yep.
Okay. What has been happening in the food supply chain? Supply chain disruptions? Well, yeah. I mean, that's been going on for a second. And ongoing inefficiencies, higher fuel. Oh my goodness, right now specifically, higher fuel, labor, and transportation cost, limited processing and storage capacity, smaller operators facing tighter margins and less access to capital. Because think about it, guys. If you're used to spending, I mean, look at the cost of diesel right now in some places over $8 a gallon. Yeah, if you're not
true. And a lot of those issues are not just, production, it's getting the food to the location, right? And if those increase, then you are just paying more at the self-checkout.
Stand. Yep. Through that.
And so the broader goal, the impact and additional support, SBA deployed $45 billion in 2025 across 85,000 small businesses, including $7 billion in rural communities.
Every time
strengthen domestic food production, supply chain resilience. It can be paired with the SBA working capital programs like MARC and the working capital pilot program. So they're trying.
They are. And it's not an overnight fix, but structurally, this is how you address the pricing pressure.
Yep. True that.
Bottom line, more capital into the food supply chain, easier for lenders to say yes. And over time, that should help bring grocery prices down, which affects everybody. This is not just about cheaper groceries. It is about control over our food supply, which
I get that. A good
thing. And helping our farmers and our people here, kind of support what they've done forever. I mean, it's getting more challenging from everything I've been told.
Should have wore a cowboy hat.
I know, you know what?
Anyway.
I thought about that. I did.
I don't even know if I own one.
As you were going through that part, right? I'm sitting there going, I totally, or been chewing
some wheat. Some wheat.
I'm gonna start coughing. Oh my
God, she's gonna die. All right, close this up, Tonya.
I'm trying. Oh God, do you remember our last show? That laryngitis show from Nagel? That was awesome.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Anyway, well, guys, don't forget we are live on Tuesday mornings here on LinkedIn and YouTube. We'd love to communicate with you, talk to you, hear what is important to you. So reach out to Paul or I in our individual LinkedIn pages. Go back and check out any of our past episodes or our sister show, the BDO show. If you've got questions, reach out again. But other than that, come visit us on Tuesday mornings, and we'll see you next week right here on the SBA Today show.
See you guys later.